Let's go ahead and set up that integration. I'll keep the steps image here available for us so we can keep referencing this. The first step is to set up the external credential. The way I'm going to do this is go set up a step. It requires some information. Go grab that information and then come back and continue the steps. So the first thing is we need to set up the external credentials. Let's go to setup. And we can find external credentials under named credentials, and then external credentials, and then new. And let's name this Mailchimp and give it the name AC underscore Mailchimp. Naming is up to you. And then this is where we specify the authentication protocol, basic for username and password, custom for API key, and then no authentication if there is no authentication required. Because we're going to use an API key, let's go with custom. And now let's look back at the steps. The second step, we need to set up the principal. And the principal is on the same page. If we scroll down, we have the principal here. And this is where we specify parameters. Let's first give it the name, Mailchimp principal. And let's add a parameter here. And the parameter we need to add here is the API key that we're going to send over. So where do we get the API key from? Upon referencing the documentation from Mailchimp, so you can find the documentation. It says like first you're gonna need to create an account, and after you create an account, you can go to that API key section. So I'm gonna go to that key section here. I'll just copy this. After I am actually logged in, I'll go to the API key section page. And then down here, we can create under your API keys, you can create a new key. You click that, you just give it some name and new key, generate key. And that's going to give you the key. You need to copy it and keep it somewhere because you can't see it again. After I click done, it's going to take me to the same page again. And this is where we see the keys that we have generated before. You can grab one of those. The label here is helpful if you are connecting Mailchimp with multiple systems, not just Salesforce, and you need to know each one of these keys is being used for. What we care about is the API key, not the label, and I will be using the one that I have created earlier. I copied that key in here. So this is the key that we'll be using. Now let's go back here and let's copy this key and let's paste it here. And Mailchimp. Okay. So this is the key. Now, what name do we give it? It doesn't matter. Looking at Salesforce documentation, it seems that it says each web service can name its headers arbitrarily. So it seems that it doesn't matter if we name it API key, access token, bearer. I think it doesn't matter. So let's just experiment with anything. Let's grab access token. And maybe like MC access token. I'll just say that. Let's save. Okay, we've got the principles up and the principal up and running. The next thing we need to do is the principal access, and this is basically creating a permission set, adding a principal, and assigning this to users. Let's hide this now again. Let's go to permission sets. Let's create a new permission set. Let's name this Mailchimp. Save. Let's add the access to principal here, external credential principal access. Let's edit and let's add this as part of this permission set. So this is the Mailchimp principal. And let's assign this to the user that would like to run this request. In this case, just going to be me. Done. Okay, let's look at the steps again. We created the principal access now. Now we can go ahead and set up a header. All right, I'm going to close this. I will go back to the external credential page. It is still open, and down here we can create a custom header. Let's create a new header, and let's say EC. Okay, now this is let's say just EC underscore header. No, like it needs to have the key authorization. The header needs to have the keyword authorization. And this is coming from this documentation here. Like as part of research again, to do this, we will go with two headers and we will add the key authorizations. So this is the key, and then the value is the keyword API key. It doesn't like, as far as we understand so far, it doesn't have to be the keyword API key, but then there is a space there and then the actual key. So let's set up the name as authorization, and then the value is going to be upon referencing this from the steps, it needs to be the merge field client ID and the actual key. So looking at the same documentation from Salesforce and then all the way down here. So this is what it looks like. So let's just like grab all of this and then go back and paste this here. And because this is like an arbitrary value, then like I'm going to keep it as is, not that it makes any difference. And then here we need to specify the credentials. Now this is like a merge field. We're accessing the external credentials. Now which credential? It's this one. So this is EC underscore Mailchimp. I actually like copied it earlier because I was planning to paste it here. So I didn't. EC Mailchimp. And then the parameter name is the one that we created earlier, and it was called MC access token. So go to that. This is the one that we set up in the principal. So go to that MC access token and grab its value, which is the API key. Okay, let's save this. All right, so we've got the header set up. Now let's go and create the named credential. All right, we're gonna go to named credentials and then named credentials here, new named credentials. Let's set up Mailchimp and let's say named credential underscore Mailchimp. The base URL, there is two parts to this. The first one is, let's see, down here, make your first API call. Now I'm referencing Mailchimp documentation. It says here that this is the base URL, and I'm also referencing this one here, another documentation, an article where it says this is the base URL. So this is the base URL, and okay, let's use this one here. This is the one that I used earlier. I'm not sure why we have /3. So let's use this one for now, and we could experiment with this one here. Let's use this, and let's paste it here. So this is not exactly. This is actually all right. The only thing here is this part that's we need to correct, the server location. And you can find this as per the documentation as well. You can see they are actually highlighting this here somewhere. The server location was US 13, and this is part of the URL here. So this is like that's part of the URL of your actual account. So I'm going to go to my actual account, the one that we were just logged in. And then here it says US 8. So I'll just copy this, US 8, and I'll go back to this. I'll change it with US 8. So this is the base URL. And you don't want to have a slash at the end. The slash is part of the flow. We're going to do that in the flow, not here. Enabled for callouts, meaning that we should be able to access this in the flow. And then the external credential, we're going to select the external credential that we set up earlier. Under callout options, we don't want to generate authorization header automatically because we already did that manually. And then we used a formula. Remember, we were concatenating the client ID and then space and then the key. So we need to allow formulas in HTTP header. I think it's referring to the header on the external credential, not the header on named credentials. But again, it's one of those things where we experiment. Let's save. Okay. All right, let's look at the steps. We've got named credentials up and running. Now let's go ahead and set up a flow. We'll go to flows. And while we could go with schedule triggered flow perhaps so that we get this to run every night, I will go with the screen flow so that we can actually view the output. Let's start from scratch, screen flow. And let's go to action. After you click action all the way down here, you're going to see create HTTP callout. Create HTTP callout here. And then let's just give this callout a name, Mailchimp callout. Which credential are we using? We're using the Mailchimp that we just created. Okay, so it automatically detects this base URL. Let's click next. Now we're creating an invocable method, an invocable action. This is basically where we set up the method and the URL path. Let's just give this some name, Mailchimp invocable action. And the method is get. Now, how do I know that I'm using a get method? In the documentation now, there is another part in the documentation where we need to grab campaigns. I am trying to, like, in this setup, we're getting campaigns. And when we get campaigns, Mailchimp is saying you need to use the method get. So back to the flow, I'm going to use the method get. Now, what's the path? The path here is /campaign. So after at the end of the URL, we need to add /campaign. So I'm going to go back here and I'll add /campaign. So this is the base URL and then /campaigns. And then we are not setting up query parameters in this case. Let's go with next. We're going to need to provide a sample response, but in a recent release, we could Salesforce could do that automatically for us. So we're going to connect for schema. Let's see if we get any errors, if that works just fine. Let's click connect. Awesome. So it is, if this didn't work, then we might get an error here. And if that happens, then we need to go back and refer to something that we set up that was not correct, to refer to the documentation, experiment again until this is supposed to work. And this is a response. This is if we look here, it's gonna show us the response in JSON format, and we see the response code is 200, meaning it was successful. It's like Salesforce attempted to make a request already, and then it came back with this. And you see it's already returning some campaigns. And here, this is where we specify the data types of the returned values. And it is automatically populating all of this. Feel free to make some adjustments here. What I care about is the title. So under the title here, like in the response, the title is for each campaign. This is the name of the campaign. So this is the title is the only one I care about for now, and that's a string, which is correct. So this is all good so far. Let's click save. Now let's give this action a name. Connect email Mailchimp, or like send request or something. Okay. Now this is the action is set. It's working. It is supposed to be working now. The last piece is, if we look at the steps, we already set up the HTTP callout, the method, the URL path, the query parameters. The only remaining piece here is the response. Okay, now how do we work with the response? Let's first use a screen to display data. Just give it some name, and let's hide pause, hide previous, and hide that header. I'll add a display text, and let's just you see now we have output from connect to Mailchimp, and the output is always inside this 2xx. If I open this, I see one of the objects is campaigns. Let me click that to display it here, and then click done, save, test MC integration. Then let's debug and see what happens. Now, debugging means it's going to go and send a request and then take the response and display the response on the screen. So this is the response that we are getting. It's in JSON format. I can actually like copy all of this here and then go to a JSON formatter like this website here, JSON formatter, and paste all of this in here and then process it just to make it look nicer. And here we can see the information in a much nicer format. I know that we're looking for campaigns, so I know campaigns are here somewhere. Maybe I can control F to find these campaigns. Anyway, we can, right, let's look at this in the flow instead. We can actually see this view in the flow as well. Let's just close this debug for now. I know that we are getting a response. I know that the campaigns are there. We just need to find that. Now, to extract the campaign names only, you see there is a ton of information there. I don't want all of this. I just want the campaign names. And to extract the campaign names and to create campaign records in Salesforce, we're going to need to first have a campaign record collection variable. So I'm going to create that first. Let's create record collection variable underscore campaigns. So let's say that we're going to actually create those records, campaign, and that's a collection. And this is now where the transform element actually shines. We've seen the transform element in action multiple times, but this is where this is like the very first use case of transform element before these other features were there in the first place. So the transform, like the data that we're getting from Mailchimp, is in JSON format, which is a different data type than a record data type or a text data type. So we need to basically take that JSON format, take that campaign title, and put it into a record variable. So the source data here is the output from the connection, connection to Mailchimp. So outputs from connect to Mailchimp. So it's showing me everything that we are returning from Mailchimp. And then where do we need this to go? We need it to go into a record collection of campaign object. As a matter of fact, we didn't need to create a record variable. Let me delete that. I keep forgetting that we don't have to do that. And this transform element is returning that campaigns. Let's just name it campaigns. This is the collection of records of campaigns. Now, so basically, like to the left side here, we have a collection. If I actually open this, and then we have campaigns, it's a collection of records in JSON format. And then to the right side here, we have a collection of campaign records. We need to take the name of the campaign and we put it into the name of the campaign from Mailchimp to the name of the campaign record in Salesforce. And because it's a collection, it's gonna repeat this for every one of those records. So it's going to take the first campaign from Mailchimp and then take whatever value we specify and put it into wherever we specify. Let me show you that 1 second. Let's open campaigns here and let's search for a title under settings. As far as I remember, title could be here. There it is. So title, and then I want this title to go into the campaign name here. So what's happening is the transform is going through each object or record that's coming from Mailchimp. That's every campaign, picks up the title of the campaign, goes to the collection in that we just the transform is creating, and put in the name on each one of them. So take the first title, put it on the first name. Take the second title, put it on the second name. Take the third title and put it on the third name, and so on. Now let's close out of this. And as a matter of fact, let's actually open it again. I'll click on the one of those. And after you click any of those fields here, from the source or the target, you see this formula here. You can click it to see how it's actually working. So it's going to every campaign. So it's going to the campaigns from Mailchimp, and then for each campaign, it's accessing the title, and then it's taking that title and it's putting it in each campaign name. So it's taking each title and it's putting in each name, one by one. Okay. Now, after that, we can go ahead and create that collection. Let's create campaigns, and let's create the it's a collection, so we need to select multiple, and then we can campaigns from campaigns. What do you mean campaign? This is the output from the transform element. That's the campaigns that we are creating. Let's delete this. Let me show you a couple of things before we actually run this. In Mailchimp, if we go to campaigns, I want to show you that I have two campaigns here, Sweet Campaign and Awesome Campaign. Let's put this down. Let's go to Salesforce and let's go to campaigns. And let's view all campaigns. I'm going to make sure that there is no filters here. There's actually a lot of campaigns. Okay, let's filter to, we need, both of them have the word campaign. Let's see, Sweet Campaign and Awesome Campaign, where the campaign name equals Awesome Campaign. Let's just look at Awesome Campaign for now. So there is no campaign name, campaign with the name Awesome Campaign. Let's go ahead and go back here and let's debug. And it's actually going to run now. The transaction ends after every screen, so it's going to run and then it's going to end. And you see already in create records here in debug logs, it has created two campaigns, one with the name Sweet Campaign and the other one with Awesome Campaign. Let's go to here, let's refresh, and we see Awesome Campaign got created in here already. If we change this to Sweet Campaign and save, I see that Sweet Campaign came successfully as well. One last note here is on Mailchimp documentation. We looked at campaigns, but you can see here that there is a ton of information that you can do. You can search campaigns, you can search members, you can check the status of the connection if it's working successfully. You can look at reports. I'm sure there is somewhere to look at subscribers. There is lists up here. Create a list, delete campaign, cancel campaign. So with API integration like this, it's limitless. There is a ton of things that we can do. We've got an integration with Mailchimp up and running, and that's all for now.